You're listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Infinite diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast here on the BQN Podcast Collective. I'm your host for today, Thad, and joining me is my co-host, Chrissie. How are you today?
Oh, I'm not too bad. I'm just looking around this room that there's supposed to be some other people in, and I can hear them talking to me, but I cannot see them.
Darn it, you stole mine.
Sorry. Start over. I can do something.
No, you're fine.
Do you want me to ask or just leave it at that?
Sure, go ahead.
How you doing, Thad?
Somebody just who shouldn't know anything about my mother just told me her name. I don't know, maybe it was Superman.
That was dark. Nice.
Also, joining us again today, we are welcoming back Benjamin Nielsen of the San Francisco 2161 Project. Benjamin, thank you for joining us again.
Thank you so much for having me back. Sometimes I do feel like I'm alone in the room, but I'm sure it's just a phase.
Before we jump into our topic for the day, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons who make the show possible, particularly associate producers Carl Wonders and Christie De Clerck-Szilagyi. Listeners, you can hear your name listed as one of our associate producers for a monthly subscription of just $10. And your subscription of any amount at patreon.com/BQN keeps all of the shows on the network ad-free. Alright, so, Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 5, Through the Lens of Time. Benjamin, what did you think of this week's episode?
I really liked this episode a lot. I would wager, I think for me, this has been my favorite of the season thus far. And I will say something that is perhaps sacrilege, but should not be surprising to those Thad fans who have followed us throughout all of his podcasts. I think this is a very Stargate episode of Star Trek, and I think it is what.
Oh yeah.
I think it is what Stargate took from Star Trek, right? So obviously, all of the TV sci-fi shows after the original series have taken pieces of that. And one of the things that I think Stargate took and built on very well is this particular part, which is what does an ancient society mean to a modern society, and what is the difference between magic and science? If you can figure it out, is it still magic? And so for me, I was delighted with most of the plot of this episode for that particular reason. How about you guys?
Yeah, I hadn't even considered the Stargate angle until you mentioned it, but now I'm thinking of parallels. Particularly, I'm thinking of that one episode where they and the Russians are in a pyramid, are trapped inside a pyramid, and there's some similarities there. You know, Benjamin knows the one I'm talking about, right?
Yes, there are quite a few, and I did watch the Star Trek versions of this earlier in the day, but there are about 79 episodes of Stargate that I could point to make sense of this episode. But yeah, the one you're speaking of particularly, that does make a lot of sense.
I see what you did there with that number.
I was thinking of, personally, when I came to Stargate, I was thinking mostly of the Nicholas Ballard episode, Jackson's grandfather.
Yeah, the Crystal Skulls.
It's a two-parter in Central America, yeah. But back
it's been a long time since I watched through Stargate.
I thought it was just the one episode.
Oh, maybe I wanted it to be a two-parter.
There is a two-parter in Central America in a later season, but that's the one with the...
You're correct.
Which there is also a lot of parallels with that one, too.
I thought they were the same episode, and it's 3 different episodes.
That's the one with the resurrection box thing. Yeah. Yeah, and that obviously also parallels. Yeah, oh, man, I need to rewatch Stargate. Stargate's awesome.
Yeah, I do too. I was sitting right here.
Everyone
I should.
should.
Do that. Yeah.
I was thinking of I was thinking a lot of the movie Event Horizon while watching this.
Yeah. I can see that.
Very much.
Chrissie, what did you think?
I thought this was a very good episode. It's... Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I thought this was a really good episode. I was really sad to see Nurse Gamble go.
Yes.
But it worked out. I liked how we actually got to know him before we lost him. That was good.
Yeah, but does poor Dr. Omega need more trauma?
No, he does not. And that I don't like about this. And I love the archaeology part of it. And let's find out what's going on with these people. I always love, everyone knows that I love the history part, but yeah, we could have done without losing Ensign Gamble's eyes.
Because that's always gonna stick in his head that he sent this guy on his first away mission, and yeah.
Then again, if I were counseling him, I would say, you didn't tell him to pick up random things on the floor. So, there's that.
Yeah, he clearly never watched an episode of TOS and saw what happened to all those red shirts.
Well, and he clearly never watched an episode of The Walking Dead, where if you're featured in the episode, that means you have to bite it by the end of it, so...
Oh, that's a point. Yeah.
Which is where the second he had his first, personal log, I was like, oh, no, honey, no.
I'm reminded of Voyager Season 2. In one episode, you meet a background character, gets a name, Lieutenant Durst.
Yep.
And then the next episode, the synopsis is, Paris, Torres, and Durst are kidnapped by the Vidians. Boy, yep. I bet you know who's gonna get out of that and who isn't.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Poor faces.
Yeah. But you're talking about. Now I'm just thinking. You said he shouldn't have watched. He needed to watch Walking Dead. Now I'm imagining the Enterprise crew watching Walking Dead, and then Spock being like, "Why? How is Michael here? What?"
That actress bears a striking resemblance to my sister. Oh my god. And her father, for that matter. Also on the show. didn't
Was James Crane in Walking Dead?
No, her father.
Oh, her father. Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
No,
biological father, not adopted father.
Yes, I was unclear.
Okay. So, like Benjamin, I also have rewatched some relevant things. I just watched What Are Little Girls Made Of this week. Boy,
Woof.
Yes.
Big woof.
Also,
interesting, but big woof.
Roger, your voice is the same. No, it's not. Not even slightly. Are you sure? There's literally a part in the episode where Chapel says, where they ask Chapel, "Are you sure that voice is Roger Corby?" And she's like, "Have you ever been engaged?" I know that's Roger. I'm like, he doesn't even have the same accent. What are you talking about?
Maybe between now and then he becomes
American.
Voice. Yeah.
Well, and I was watching the episode again, as I did today. I was thinking because of, for those of you who haven't watched TOS, a spoiler here, is that there's something different about Roger Corby in this episode.
Listen, if you
That's
haven't
not
watched
even...
TOS, we are not keeping TOS spoilers on this podcast.
Okay,
Oh,
so
hell
the
no.
fact that he is, like, not fully Roger Corby doesn't even make sense because they're all doing, like, the voices, and the correct voices is a integral plot point for that episode. And so it's one of these things that we can sort of put in the list of, like, Strange New Worlds gets away with stuff because the audience is allowing it to happen, which, like, I personally, as an audience viewer, think is fine because I think
I agree.
adherence to 60-year-old canon is a little silly, but it is interesting what shows get to play this game and which don't. And it's nice to see this. The audience for Strange New Worlds is a little more accepting of, like, it's 60 years later, give it a rest. It's just kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's when the show features white men that it's okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's for you guys to say. I'm just the guest.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
If we had found out that Spock had a half human white brother, or a human, excuse me, if we had found out that Spock had a human white brother at the beginning of Discovery, I don't think there would have been so much turmoil.
If Michael Burnham had been a white man, there wouldn't be people still trying to say that she started the Klingon War.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which still comes up constantly in internet arguments, and I'm just like, did you even watch the show?
Nope.
Like, it's one thing if you don't like the character, but, like, give actual reasons, not the in-universe wrong reason that they establish is incorrect information.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The Enterprise has brought Corby to a new research site.
Benjamin doesn't let us mess around.
Yeah, this is cool. This is part of, and I appreciate this, this is part of Corby's ongoing research on prolonging life and corporeal transference, which I'm sure we're not going to get touched on again in the future in Star Trek or anything.
No. That's not going to be a problem at all.
He's not going to end up with a machine with a William Shatner-sized impression in it that... like, that hole, like, the spot that the body lies on that machine is exactly the size of William Shatner. It is...
Well, that makes sense, given context.
Well, yes, but presumably it's the same machine they used to make all the androids, right?
Oh, that's true.
Well, I guess maybe not. Maybe the
it's
mold has to
memory
change
foam.
Every single time. Memory
That's
foam.
the Captain
Correct.
Kirk machine. Okay. Oh, it's like it's like those old iPod docks back in the day, where you had like the 5 or 6 different plastic inserts depending on which iPod you had.
There you go.
There we go. Okay.
It's got the little, like on your printer tray, where you can push the sides together for the thick paper you have. Yeah. Yeah, they had Captain Kirk paper.
I feel like printer tray is probably a more relevant reference than iPod dock adapters.
They're both at least 20 years old, so it's okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
but people do in fact still use printers.
Yeah.
Most people don't have printers at home anymore, though. At least from what I've read. I don't know. I've always had a printer.
Yeah,
I only use it like 2 or 3 times a year, which is why I have a laser printer, so it works when I want to use it every 2 or 3 times a year. But yeah. All right. So yes, this is part of Corby's ongoing research, which is clearly setting up what are little girls made of, which I enjoy. And I think it's cool that we've got the aliens on this planet are understandably cautious about what this foreign archaeologist wants to do on their planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think you guys have it as like Macronians. I think I heard like Nicronians, but I was kind of delighted immediately because I thought there was like a De Bruyne reference in here for half a second until it obviously wasn't. And I was thinking like, ooh, we got some like old RPG guide situation going on
Mm-hmm.
here. But I do like that it was a like new weird aliens that are responding to the Federation in a
Hmm.
cautious way, not in a everyone has to join the Federation immediately way, which is always good for me
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listeners, we are recording this before the reviews come out for this episode, so none of us actually know how to spell Macronian,
Yeah.
but we think that's what they said.
That's what
I
I heard,
changed
yeah.
it 3 times as I was going because at first I had McCoonian, and then I was like, no, there's an R in there. Yeah. So
I heard a rune. There's a rune in there
yeah.
somewhere.
Rune. Yep.
Yeah, I had the audacity to be going to STOV and can't record the episode after the
Yep.
show comes out, unfortunately.
Yep. How dare you?
Anyway, yes. So yeah, we're exploring this alien ruin. There's the cool thing where they set up mirrors basically, and the Enterprise sends a beam, and it bounces off the mountain, and all of a sudden we see this cool looking temple palace thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. I like immediately after that we're gonna need a bigger away team.
It was a good
Yeah.
pull, yeah.
That was beautiful.
Well, and it was also interesting because it was sort of evocative of like Petra and stuff, but it was it seemed much bigger and older and like a different color palette, so it was a cool visual.
Yeah.
Well, this is appropriate because at the end we've got the Indiana Jones Bridge of Trust, and that scene was also in a Petra analog.
Yeah.
So it requires a blood sacrifice. That's always a good sign, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's always, yeah.
It means it means the episode's gonna be sunshine and rainbows when there's a blood sacrifice called for.
Yeah, I mean, like, they're going to do the blood sacrifice. They're going to find out that the person's sugar is off and save their life. And
Yeah,
it's going to be all
exactly.
happy. Yeah.
I did appreciate that they basically went against type, which was like usually when it's like, oh, we need a drop of blood, it means someone pulls out a sort of like Crocodile Dundee style knife and then just like rips into their hand and just like drips a pint of blood on something.
And that's what
And
Corby was about to do.
I was going to say.
And I'm glad that they were
Absolutely.
like, no, just use your brain for half a second, and like if it says blood, that could mean one drop, so everyone settle down. Because whenever they do that in a movie, I'm always like, it's gonna take weeks for your hand to be able to do something again.
Yeah, why would you do
that?
it on the palm of your hand? That's like the worst place to have a healing cut.
I understand why the Klingons do it there, because the whole point is that it's, going to be a pain. But yeah, everybody
Yeah,
else.
my first thought was Martok in Way of the Warrior was like, let's all make sure we are who we say we are, which ironically he wasn't actually. But
Yeah, it was nice for Chapel to be
Well,
like, well, I know what I'm doing here. Everyone just settle down. That was a good character moment, I thought.
yeah, and then when
Yes.
Gamble's freaking out, scanning her, he's like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "I'm all right, Ensign."
Calm down. It's all good.
Yeah, so blood sacrifice, and then we find out later it's a good thing they all walk through the door at the same time. It sure was lucky both Chapel and La'an went out to
With Gamble,
with
yep.
Gamble later.
Mm-hmm.
Although I suppose if Gamble had gone by himself, that might have solved some problems.
Mm-hmm. Quite possibly.
So yeah, this old temple has stuff in lots of different languages.
Yeah, and like, Earth languages and other languages that have nothing to do with where they are.
Yeah, it gave me a lot of the episode is The Chase, I believe, of
Oh yeah.
TNG,
Yes.
where there's like some indication, which is a little bit of what Stargate took from them, that there is like some sort of unifying theory of sentience in the galaxy. And we get a little bit of that in TOS, but usually like Star Trek tries to move away from that argument because it's a little non-scientific. But I like what this episode did with it, which is it can still see like time is very long, and there could have been a whole civilization that rose and fell and is gone in the time that was before us. I like that explanation as a bit more than like they're still with us and they're gods now.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to see that sort of like things repeat. History is a circle, as it were.
Mm-hmm. All of this has happened before, and all of this will come again.
Mm-hmm.
So the artifact that has translations on it, the words are parasite, hitchhikers, and evil, but plural, I believe. Evils.
Evils, yeah.
I mean, I've heard those urban legends.
Haven't we all? That's kind of the point.
It was interesting that like the parts of it that they could read were just like all of the bad news parts of the... What are the words that might make us scared in this space? That we can't leave at this point, right? Because the door is shut, so...
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And we don't really get a good explanation about the statue that is apparently alive, but not alive.
And quantum flux.
Yeah. We don't really get a good explanation of what that is and what it has to do with everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of felt like a setup for like, you know, a good episode of a franchise gives you something for someone else to play with. Maybe that's what this was. That like, if we ever want to know more about this, then we can... Here's the statue, maybe?
Yeah.
This feels like it is setting up future episodes of Strange New Worlds, honestly.
Well, and given what happens later...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I really do think the way it seems to be setting it up, it feels almost kind of Babylon 5-y to me. We've got this ancient evil coming back, and other... they have been fought and defeated before, and the way Battelle reacts to Gamble makes me think that like the Gorn fought these guys like way back in the prehistoric era or whatever, and that's so I we've been talking all season about how we assume Battelle is not going to survive the season,
No,
and I think we're gonna end up with the final fight of it. She's gonna have to like destroy the evil, and either she's going to die then, or she won't be able to revert back to regular Battelle, and they'll have to possibly Ortegas will have to fight there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely feels like I would be shocked if we don't get a follow-up to this episode. Because it gives us more questions than answers at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, the end was very, like, next week on, blah, 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 right? Like, it was very that sort of energy, which this season kind of has been giving us, right? So...
We, I was going to say, we didn't mention that Beto Ortegas is with them filming for his documentary. And part of how we find out about these things is because he goes and sends his camera into a different room. And so they think that they're going to be able to move through the temple.
Having another character along with our crew filming a documentary also was a Stargate episode.
Yes, it is.
Yes, how do you guys feel about this concept of like a civilian? So like this is to my understanding, a more like TNG era thing where like we had non-Starfleet people on Starfleet ships, but it seems like they're bringing in a like Federation civilian and a journalist, no less, on like a Starfleet ship. Like it's been interesting to see how he's maneuvered around the ship.
Yeah, it is interesting. We did have the only other example of a journalist on a starship that I can recall was from Lower Decks.
Yeah, if you don't count the reporters in Generations at the beginning.
No, I don't count that because that was like itself an entire like publicity event.
Yes, I'd be.
Yeah, but fair, yeah.
Well, and Jake.
Well, okay.
But that's, again, slightly...
Again, that's a slightly
he's not
different
an
situation.
outsider, yeah.
But yeah. But it makes sense. Like, you'd think there would be a journalist on every starship.
Well, like an open democracy, you would hope that the press can be on your ships.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of like that. It's interesting that his usage of it is like, let's get a good shot, as opposed to like, maybe put the camera by the most important parts of the ship all the time.
Yeah.
But that does lead me to
Yeah,
my favorite part of the episode, which is Pelia's acting for camera, which
Yes.
Carol
Yes.
Kane continues to swoop in and be the best part of every episode she's in.
Absolutely.
God's yes.
Would you like me to do it again for the camera?
Yeah.
I think that'll be fine.
At that point in the episode, my partner was kind of like, "Oh, really?" And then when she was like, "Well, it was acting, obviously," I was like, "Yes, yes, it was. It was acting."
Yeah. So now it's interesting. He sent the camera in through the doorway while everybody else was worried about Gamble, which that was a bit of a risk to do that. And Uhura starts to call him out on it, but then other things happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I don't know, he's trying to be the journalist and capture the scene and capture what's going on. And,
Yeah.
he's got multiple cameras apparently, so.
Mm-hmm.
Did you read the plot of that as the reason he was kind of there is because blood means life and people with blood, and so obviously a camera can just go wherever it wants, and the temple.
Yeah, that was my interpretation. Yeah, that it just didn't it didn't register the camera as anything to think about.
Yeah, so a camera can
never
zoom
even
around.
went there.
So a camera could zoom around wherever and no one would notice because it's not blood.
Yeah, it's not a person.
Cool. I didn't even go there.
Which does beg the question if Data had been on this mission.
Mm-hmm.
He could have gone wherever he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Would have had this figured out in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been the captain's log at the beginning of the episode.
That's why Corby turns himself into an android, so he can go back there.
Oh my god, I need
Explore.
this to happen now.
That's really good. Oh, that's really good. I think you got it,
read that
Chrissie.
novel. I wouldn't have had you guys not mention that because I didn't even occur to me to think about the camera as being perceived differently.
Yeah,
by
the next Strange New Worlds novel should be about
Temple.
Roger Corby turning himself into an android.
Yeah, that Corby was young and didn't have an accent at that point, and so he was like, I have to become a robot with no accent.
Mm-hmm.
Or an American accent, because otherwise I can't go into places anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's because they'll notice the Irish accent, but there's more Americans here, so I need to blend in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's the career
There you
path. That's the 5 years that Chapel didn't see him. That
Yep.
makes sense.
Some things you just have to smile and nod. Yeah.
It's also the minor things that don't match up. In addition to her saying, "Have you ever been engaged?" I recognize his voice. She knows very well that Spock was engaged when she asked him that question.
Yeah.
Well, and to engage in sort of Thad level pedantry, I do believe her quote
That's
was
pedantry.
I believe her quote was the Federation, or Kirk's quote was, the Federation has not heard from him in 5 years, which does not mean that she has not heard from him in 5 years. It's just
That's true.
implied.
Yeah, he hasn't
It's
made an
very
official report.
heavily implied, though.
Yeah. Which, again, with what we know from Strange New Worlds now.
Which
That's
5
the
years
question.
means that he's gotta, disappear real soon.
Well, we haven't seen T'Pring this season.
Yeah, because What a Little Girl's Made Of is early season 1, so it's 2266.
Mm-hmm.
We are current in season 3 of Strange New Worlds. We are in 2261. So Roger Corby has to disappear pretty darn quick.
Yep. Well, we shall see.
No, I'm sure that he will. we make fun of the minor inconsistencies, but that's a big one that they are going to come up with something.
In the same way that Gamble, I think, was like featured. There's a reason that Corby's been in a lot of these episodes, right?
Yeah.
Like he's a very big thing for a very major character in the show, and so like it's time to move them around.
Well, I suspect he'll probably play a part in the Babylon 5 Ancient Evil story that we've got this season, and then like once that finishes.
Yeah, we don't have to actually. There doesn't have to be an exit for him. We just have to not see him again. You know.
Now, how I realize I keep mentioning, but have you two watched Babylon 5? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
I saw Babylon 5 when it came out, so I'm vaguely remembering what you're talking about. But
okay, yeah, because like
I had
basically half like 2/3 of the show is about fighting an ancient evil that has come back and is trying to,
yeah. I was annoyed at Babylon 5 when it first came out because I thought it was trying to rip off DS9.
Oh, the irony.
Yeah. Uno Reverso, yeah.
Well, I didn't know. I was a kid. I was just my Star
I think
Trek
the point was that
being...
nobody knew, right? For years,
Yeah.
right?
That's But I watched it. I think like in reruns shortly after it was probably halfway through its run.
I very much enjoy Babylon 5, but I do think DS9's better.
Yes.
Well,
No question.
How much of that is money? Come on. DS9 had so much more money.
Also, models look better than mid-90s CGI.
Well, and also like the promenade costs more than like the first 2 seasons of Babylon 5 or something, right? Like it's like building that set. So like call a spade, sci-fi that is good, which both of them are.
Yeah,
is good sci-fi. So
I very much like Babylon 5.
Y'all are very blessed in the early 90s, is what I'm going to say about like sci-fi in the early 90s. You guys kind of got like a lot of good stuff. So.
Yeah, and they had they had those long 22 plus episode seasons too.
Yep.
But on this 10 episode season that we're talking about now,
episode 5, we're halfway done.
Yeah. We're over halfway through the entire show.
Ugh, yeah. It's weird to know that so early,
but weird that we're that we're like only halfway done and already know. That's very bizarre.
Yeah, which is again like people still talk about it like it's already over, and it's like, guys, there's still tons of Strange New Worlds coming. Like anytime someone says that Strange New Worlds has been canceled, I'm like, that is a very strong word to use about a show that has multiple seasons left.
And it's still in production.
And can't wait to go to the funeral with you guys in 2028 or whenever it comes out, right? Like, settle down.
It'll be 2027, but yeah. So yeah, we've talked around, and we don't have to cover everything that happens in the episode, but there is Gamble picks up an orb, which you should never just pick up a random orb in a creepy blood tomb, but Gamble picks up an orb, the orb explodes, and his eyes disappear.
Yeah, that was quite an image. Not as disturbing as Icheb's eyes in Picard, though.
True. I remember when that episode came out, somebody tweeted that, like, Jonathan Frakes has directed some really good eye horror, because he directed that episode and he also directed First Contact, when you see the thing on Picard's eye at the beginning.
Yeah, he clearly has an eye squeamish thing.
Thankfully that didn't happen in last week's episode. That would have been awkward.
That would have been difficult to contextualize.
Oh, they could have, because there was that alien that was holding those giant eyeballs.
Oh, that's true. Or one of the people could have been killed with an ice pick to the eye or something. Okay. That would have been very Hollywood feeling. Oh, well.
Yeah, to take a different tack, I feel like it was... No, just about this specifically. I think for me, so like having seen it, I think when I was thinking about it, it's interesting to think of him as a young man in this time period. And so, like, in a time period where Bones is saying, you know, in the 4th movie, Voyage Home, like, just take a pill, it could fix one of your organs. It's
Yeah.
interesting for me to have a young person be like, oh, I could just throw something up against my face, because if it burns my face off, they'll build me a new face.
Yeah.
Or like, I could just get new
Yeah.
eyes, because all that person knows is new eyes, new face,
Yeah.
new liver, right? So like, it actually was an interesting character moment for me of like, this is a young person who doesn't understand a time before Mbenga can just give me new organs. And so they do sloppy things that when they're out in the middle of space results in something very different. And so that was actually an interesting character moment for him, for me. And a
That's
different
a fair point. I hadn't thought of that.
yeah, a different way of
hadn't
thinking
either.
about like how the older TOS era quote unquote characters are thinking about it as opposed to like the TOS movie characters, and recontextualizing the TOS movie characters as like, oh, these are children who don't understand the risks of being in space. It was a nice sort of
So-
storytelling device for me.
That last week we were talking about how the fact that there's a no smoking sign in the simulator indicates that people started smoking again. Because, you can just wave a light over it and get new lungs. But it never occurred to me that that might make people less cautious,
It makes
knowing
sense,
that you
though.
can just. Yeah, but that doesn't. I mean, I'm trying to think of a modern analogy, and I can't really think of a good one.
I mean, I feel like you still shouldn't just pick up random things because it could also kill you, and they can't
Well, yeah,
fix that
yeah.
yet.
Yeah. All I can think of is, I think it's Bill Hicks' joke about how when they find the cure for AIDS, people will be just screwing in the streets. And I can't think of a different modern analogy because it's not like I can go somewhere where people have polio because I have a polio vaccine.
Okay,
it's
but
not
were
quite
people
that.
screwing in the streets before AIDS happened? Like, I
Well,
mean,
his point was you could have completely anonymous sex and it would just be
right? But there was like a 20-year
no.
period where we had cured VD and AIDS hadn't happened yet, and there weren't just like orgies in the street, were there? I don't know. I wasn't alive yet.
Not that I'm aware. But there were hippie communes.
That's fair.
There were probably people who met. No, excuse me. There were definitely people who met in private places for that. So
Well, yes.
yeah, no, but I like that idea of how the caution isn't necessarily top of mind.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I read as a character moment from this episode, and I think that like, maybe that was just because this was kind of Gamble's episode as a character, right? Maybe that's just for Gamble. It might not be something they're trying to say about this generation of people in the future, but it was something that sort of played into it for me that like it's not like a Alien Prometheus thing where a biologist just like opens up something stupidly. This actually felt like they may have thought it through as a character trait, and so we'll have to see if they continue with that or if it was just a move the
Yeah, I
plot along
liked the
thing.
first 2/3 of that movie.
I love that movie.
It's a decent movie. It's got an interesting idea.
Yeah,
It's certainly
Yeah.
better than Alien Covenant.
Well, most things are.
Yeah.
Okay, but
What was I gonna say?
would you rather watch Alien Covenant or Section 31?
I've only watched one of them, so don't have to answer that
Oh,
question.
you still haven't seen Section 31?
Yeah.
That's fair. That's a valid reaction.
It's worth seeing once.
Is it?
Just yes.
Is it though?
Once.
I'm looking
And
forward to my
maybe
next
with-
plane ride.
Like I don't know, a drink or 3. What was I gonna say? Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, I think in terms of it being like a generational versus an individual character thing, it does make me think of like he's a teenager who just got his driver's license, or he's the the kid just gone off to school and doesn't know how much he should drink. Not thinking about, not recognizing one's own mortality, potential mortality, which I think is true of all young people, at some point.
Yeah, and I think that like on a show with Pike, whose entire plot line is about mortality and this understanding of, for him, aging is not the fear. He's aware of when it ends, right? So, like, aging is not the problem, so it doesn't matter how old he is. I'm thinking about younger people in sort of the TOS era, like Kirk or Chekhov or Scotty, who have had, so like Scotty has had this very different understanding of death because he's witnessed it in Strange New Worlds. And now we're sort of showing this, like, how do we have these cowboys in TOS that are just a bit more blasé about, like, I don't know, it's a planet, let's go down, see what happens. And then someone dies every episode. This might be a narrative point to be like, well, the kids coming up nowadays are just too eager to go down and die on a planet because what they're going to Starfleet for is to go to strange new worlds that are dangerous and that people die. And so that's where I was sort of reading, and one of the reasons I thought this episode is very interesting is that it was doing some larger work around how do we get to the cowboy diplomacy of TOS after having some more, like, safe diplomacy and discovery. This might have been one of those little pieces. We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Thankfully, Chapel and La'an take Gamble out of the room, because we now know that if anyone other than Chapel had tried to leave, they would have been vaporized. Yeah. Pike very, understandably orders them all to leave the ruins and come back to the ship.
Yeah, come back. But no.
No, Corby's gonna have none of that. And at this point, this is when, Gamble sends the thing into the other room, comes back. We see the statue that is alive and not alive. And the alien is not happy to see that.
No. This whole idea of, like, there being continuity between species and planets and an understanding of evil as a, what's the word I'm looking for? A non-relative thing. I kind of like that idea.
Just like an absolute evil.
Yeah, it appeals to me as someone who was raised Catholic. It does not appeal to me as somebody who's not anymore, but but there's something interesting in that idea.
Yeah, like, I accept it in the form of the narrative. I do not personally believe there is such a thing as, like, an ancient evil, as in something that is just evil. I don't think that is in reality a thing.
But as, like, a Newtonian law, as, like, good, evil, gravity.
No. I can't get on board with that.
No, I can't either. But
I will accept it in the terms of the narrative, but even then, I see this more as people view it that way and less of a
sentient brain can come up with those things.
Yes.
They're not natural laws.
That which is good and evil is relative culturally, too.
Yeah.
And that's why I say it doesn't work for it to be some kind of all-encompassing devil, so to speak. Again, to invoke my Catholic childhood. But even within the Federation, there is relativity to what is good and evil. And when you bring in the Klingons, it's a whole other thing. So,
I mean, heck, even Star Trek shows us that the devil wasn't really a bad guy. He teaches Spock how to do magic. Yeah,
and then tries to take over that planet and teaches them how to clean up their pollution. Well, that wasn't really the devil, though. Well, no, I know.
That was someone pretending to be the devil.
That was someone pretending to be the devil.
Not to segue or, like, sequitur on the Sequitur podcast, but, like, is Adria and the TAS devil ever, like, connected in any way?
Ardra.
Ardra, sorry, excuse me.
Adria's in
Stargate. It's the Stargate devil.
I knew who you meant.
Thank you.
I don't think so, but
I don't believe so, no.
Yeah, there's a great novel series that picks up that Ardra was, like, members of this group of, I don't want to say galactic con men, because it wasn't quite as negative as that sounds, but it was good.
tricksters of some kind, presumably.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so I don't think, ancient evil. Okay. Maybe that's the opposite of the preservers.
The destroyers.
Yeah. Right. So something is preventing Gamble's eyes from regenerating, which is lovely.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we find out that he also has no brain activity.
Yes. I'm gonna invoke a zombie movie again. But in Return of the Living Dead, there's this scene where the two guys that have been zombified don't know that they're zombified, and that there's EMTs that are like taking their temperature and trying to find their pulse, and they can't, and they're like, "You're dead. You're functionally dead." And the one guy starts freaking out. It's good.
So that one has they're intelligent zombies in Return of the Living Dead then.
They can be, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're quasi intelligent because the whole reason they found out I'm not spoiling a 50-year-old movie. They're 40-year-old movie. Whatever. The reason they go after brains is because brains are essentially an analgesic to the pain of being dead. So eating brains.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's more deep than you would expect from what the movie is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. So yeah, Gamble's a zombie.
Apparently, yeah. And what's the name of the alien? Because Corby says his name, but I don't recall what it was.
He does, and it's real quick, and I didn't quite get it. So.
I didn't catch it either.
Anyway, yeah, he tries to escape when he sees the statue, and that's when we find out that if anyone tries to go through the door without Chapel, they get eviscerated.
Yeah.
And now they're all locked in, buried alive, buried alive, buried alive. So this is the cool part. So they're like, well, we might as well keep exploring, because otherwise we have nothing, if not like we can do anything else. Yeah. So they all walk through the doorway, and it looks like they end up in 3 different rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Because Chapel and La'an are in one room, Spock and Corby are in another, and Beto and Uhura are in a third. And we later find out that they're actually all in the same room, just at slightly different phases, because the camera sees them all together.
Yeah, I liked that little bit.
Yeah,
I would have liked it even better if they had somehow shown that they were off kilter from each other. Like if you had seen Uhura move, and then you go to the camera, and then you see her move,
Yeah.
Something like that.
That'd be kind of
I don't know how they could have done that, but yeah.
Yeah. So now they when they realize that they're all in the same room, they can use the tools to operate the machinery.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't fully grasp how this all works, but they're talking about how sometimes the effect predates the cause, and Spock hurts his finger, but it hurts his hand, but it's wounded earlier, and that means that technically the bridge that isn't there is actually there for them to cross to turn on the bridge that isn't there. It doesn't actually... If it makes sense, it's in a way that my mind can't wrap itself around it, but whatever.
It is the same paradox that produced the anomaly in All Good Things.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Same idea. I can't explain it other than that.
I can't explain it either, but I did research this a little bit for a sci-fi thing that I was doing, and all I can say is that you should look up simultaneity, which is a physics theory around the concept that if you remove yourself on another plane of existence, so like the X, Y, and Z is what we live in, if you remove yourself to time and then go to the 5th dimension, not the movie, but the thing, you can get yourself outside of time, and then simultaneity is the paradox, because at that point you don't have before and after are no longer words that matter. Things can happen. Yes, correct. And so we're sort of in like Q space here, and so
man, we were joking about Avery Brooks showing up on Academy. What if he comes back in Strange New Worlds?
Yeah. But so, like, yeah, simultaneity and determinism are two different things in that universe that are different. And so that might be sort of where they're playing. But they also were like, we don't have time to tell you about that, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's also
Paradox explains it.
It's like the Voyager episode where they get trapped in a nebula because they're responding to a distress call from themselves trapped in the nebula.
That is correct. That's what simultaneity is. Like, it's all happening at the same time.
Okay, I barely got through first semester physics, so I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'll just take your word for it, honestly.
Yeah.
If you ask me about the math, you are fools. But
Wibbly,
I did watch
wobbly, timey-wimey.
I did watch like
it is not
2 real Yale
linear.
courses about this, so
I mean, that's awesome that stuff is out there, and and total props to that. I just physics
someone
has
was
never
also
been my
bored
cup
on
of tea.
Wikipedia like I was one day, and they were like, "Oh yeah, cause and effect doesn't matter. Who cares?" The real reason that I know about this is the movie Contact, which
Okay.
Yep.
which is one of my favorite sci-fi movies ever. Simultaneity is the point of how that movie works. As is well, Arrival is actually a different reason, but same thing.
Don't hate me, but I didn't actually enjoy Contact.
You're allowed to have thoughts.
I saw it when it came out, and I remember then I went and read the book, and I remember thinking the book was better, but I really could not tell you much about either because I think I was like 11.
Also, the book is better, so that's just fair.
Generally speaking.
And I think Arrival was a decent movie, but I feel it gets hyped more than it should.
And I know I've seen that, but I can't remember anything about it except that there was an oval or something. So.
It's kind of like Contact, so.
Yeah.
And Discovery Season 4.
Year did that come out? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Discovery Season 4 is like both Arrival and Contact.
Yes.
Oh, 90. No, it came out in 97. I was 15. Okay. Anyway. Actually, that's the year Carl Sagan died, if I remember correctly.
I think the foreword is by him. It might be one of his last written works.
Contact is his novel. Yeah.
Oh, great.
He wrote it. Yeah. Yeah. For that, I think he wrote it in the 70s. I mean, but the movie is. So Gamble has eyes, except he doesn't have eyes. Gamble doesn't have eyes. I don't know. I was trying to make a transition here.
Yeah. So
he can certainly see around the ship.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, he can.
His lack of eyes is not preventing him from being able to go around murdering people.
Mm-hmm. But first, he has to get into a fight with Batel.
Yeah. Yeah, so Patel walks into sickbay with Gamble and has a very strong reaction. She goes, "You." And this is where I was talking about earlier. I think the Gorn fought these ancient evil aliens in the past, and so Patel's inner Gorn hybridness is responding to this ancient stimuli and stimulus. It's only one. And
true.
I think that's what's happening here. So I really do think it's going to end up with Batel having to defeat them.
This is reminiscent of how Worf was used to show how strong baddies
Yes.
were. Because if the Gorn think they're evil,
right?
How bad are they? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. Again, relativity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cultural relativity, and not physics.
Yeah, I agree. It was just the sense of like, I for a second was like, did I miss something in the last couple episodes? But I think it was more just like, oh, it's a heightened response.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to feel that way. You're supposed to be confused. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, they are. Or, well, I should say,
we know
is.
as much as
Gamble's
she
not there
does,
anymore.
which is to say, not much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I just, as a side note, I love how everyone's off-duty clothes are basically 21st century jeans and a t-shirt and a hoodie or a zip up. Just I like that they've kind of embraced that. It's a classic.
Yeah.
It's an eternal style. I mean,
I do kind of miss the ridiculous civilian fashions of 90s Trek.
I appreciated when like disco at least pretended like civilians dressed like 60s people. And I would have wished that Strange New Worlds would have been like, no, the point is that they dressed like 60s people because it was the 60s, of course. But
Yeah.
we're still there, so we should probably still try. But they've been like, our actors are not going to want to wear just like panel cut dresses. So, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. That's where jeans and a t-shirt. I mean, I know we haven't literally seen jeans and a t-shirt, but jeans and a t-shirt's eternal. That's just, it is.
Yeah, but I miss Jake Sisko's bus seats.
Yeah. Did you see the, what do you call a post on Blue Sky? I guess a post on Blue Sky. From
Officially, they are called posts. There are
Posts,
certain
okay.
members of Blue Sky who want to call them skeets. Those members are wrong. I hate that. Don't do that.
Ugh.
No, skeet is the thing where you fire out the clay pigeon
Yeah.
at a horizontal from where you're
Or
to where you're at.
or it's another thing on Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, the host of Behind the Bastards, Robert Evans, which huge shout out if once you're done listening to our podcast, listeners, if you need something to put in your ears, Behind the Bastards.
Oh, I
fantastic.
love Behind the Bastards.
Not safe for work, so
No.
just leave that there.
No.
But he's a Trekkie. He's like a TNG Trekkie, and he posted something about it was Riker in the Angel One outfit, and it was, we could have we could have everything that we want if only we were willing to dress like this. And I'm butchering it right now, but it got onto Star Trek ship posting too, which was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it is. Despite everything, I still believe in the potential of humankind to create utopia, but it will require hard work, courage, and above all, extremely deep V-necks that go almost down to your dick.
Hard agree.
Mm-hmm.
There
So,
are
yeah, we don't
always
have
a
that
couple
fashion.
Angel One Rikers walking around at STLV.
Good for them.
Along with the Captain's Holiday Picards, there's definitely some deep V's representing.
Someday I hope to be that person.
Yeah, so Gamble and Battelle kick some ass.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Also now, do you think, it just occurred to me, you think this is why Spock ended up shoving Gamble after the mind meld?
Because again, the causality and whatnot.
Right. The continuity is irrelevant. He hadn't.
It's
yeah.
possible.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's a good idea, though.
yeah, and then she says later she didn't understand what happened and felt like something else with an overwhelming desire to kill whatever is in Gamble. So that's
I'm saying. Ancient Gorn fighting ancient whatevers.
yep. Ancient heebie-jeebie things, as Pelia describes them.
Yeah, the Vestra, was that it? Vostra?
Mm-hmm. Vestra.
Vestra, yeah.
Well, it almost seems like it's biological in the same way that we've seen with Saru, right? With like the
Yeah.
and the Calpians, where like this might have been a like Gorn and then whatever this is species that have like a sense memory of conflict.
Mm-hmm.
So that the species was breeding the Gorn as cattle?
Perhaps, yeah. It
Yes.
it might explain what the Gorn are up to in the show.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking, again, bringing it back to Babylon 5 for a second. So, like, they've got the Shadows, which are the ancient evil in Babylon 5, and the some of the older species in Babylon 5 do still have the memory of fighting them from before, like the Minbari and the Vorlons.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's the same sort of thing. Like, I'm imagining, that Battelle is a Vorlon.
Sure.
Except she doesn't look like an angel when you see her outside of a suit. But,
It's
She
been a
looks
while.
like an angel to me.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah. So once they figure out that the bridge is... that they can walk across the bridge that's not there to turn on the bridge so it is there.
Yeah.
They're able to escape, and we were able to finally stop Gamble. Pelia shoots him in the back. Scotty beams him to nowhere.
Well, the thing that comes out of him
Yes.
beams him to nowhere. Because they had figured out earlier, I think we missed that the orbs were containment units, and we saw Spock saw a bunch of them in the hole.
Yes, when Pelia shoots Gamble in the back, the Vestra comes out, and Scotty traps him in the orb like a Pokeball. And then beams it to nowhere.
Perfect. Yeah, and when he said he beamed him to nowhere, I thought he meant like he just had the pattern dissipate in space.
That was my assumption.
It sounds like it's in the pattern buffer. And given what we see at the end of the episode with the computer glitching.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like
they
this
talk
ancient
about the
evil is
pattern
in the
buffer.
computer, right? Like
Yeah, which feels like it's probably not the best thing.
No,
I'm sure this
really
won't come back and bite us in the ass.
Yeah. He should have just vaporized it into nothing, but, materialized it.
If the enemy's in the computer, now I'm going to have to watch Wolf in the Fold, too.
And get into some X-Files and watch Ghost in the Machine. The X-Files episode, not the anime.
So that's the one from the later seasons, right? Where all the automated things are trying to kill them?
No, I love that episode. That's crazy. But no, this is very early on. It's the lone gunmen. I think the lone gunmen are in it, and they are dealing with like a very early VR game.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, yeah. That one's good, too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so, yes, I'm pretty sure we're going to get a follow-up to this episode.
Yeah.
But I think we've covered most everything that happened this time. Do either of you have anything more to add about this week's episode?
The concern over the idea that Gamble was going to use the Enterprise to release all the prisoners very much reminded me of TNG's Power Play.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a good way. I thought that was a good...
I like Power Play. That's a good episode.
Oh, that's a good episode. Yeah. And I love Pelia's speech at the end. I know we briefly mentioned it before about I know there's true evil in the world or in the universe and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, that was gorgeous. So
it was good enough that they put it in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my only point was that I was going to say Pelia MVP yet again.
Always.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much always, but really this time was like, because again, could have been way too much, but it was also TOS, and then it was also the joke. So I was like, excellent. This episode that was very serious almost ended in a classic TOS like jump freeze frame.
Mm-hmm.
If it would have if they would have ended on Pelia, that's what it would have been. But they added a good sort of piece to the end as well. So
yeah, I'm glad they didn't end on that because that would have been disjointed.
But very fun.
Well, Benjamin, thank you so much for joining us for the discussion today. Where can our listeners find you online? What current and upcoming work do you want to mention?
Yeah, so you guys can find me at nascentnovice.com and Nascent Novice on most platforms. But mostly I'm active on Blue Sky and Discord nowadays. My writing project, San Francisco 2161, is wrapping up on August 25th, so in just a little bit of 2025. And I look forward to seeing you all there. You can also send me an email or read any of my other works at nascentnovice.com. And I think in October of this year, we might be launching something else. We have to just cross some T's and dot some I's before I can announce that. But thank you both for having me. It was great to talk about Strange New Worlds again with you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
Chrissie, where can people find you when you're not losing your eyes?
Oh, well, my glasses prescription is not too far off from that, so. In addition to Here at Infinite Diversity, you can find me on History with the Szilagys here on the BQN, that twice-weekly short history podcast I do with my fellow historian partner, Jason. I'm also happy to chat about our shows on the BQN Collective on Facebook, and I'm in the various socials as the Goddess Livia, that's TheGoddessLivia, where you can see my opinions about Star Trek history and leftist politics. Thad, where can people find you when you're not hamming it up for the camera?
You can hear me on the podcast I do with my friend Carl called License to Spiel. That's licensed so with a C like the British do it. We started out talking about James Bond, and after we ran out of that, we went on to other topics and are currently working our way through Columbo. You can also find links to all of my podcasts and socials on my website, tyrannicus.net. That's tyranicus.net.
So don't forget about all of our other great shows here on the BQN. Here's a recording of Amy to tell you all about them.
What shows are on BQN, you ask? Well, here's a rundown of some podcasts you might be interested in. All Good Things, a Star Trek Universe podcast covering all of Trek, hosted by Amy, Christos, Kelvin, and Kristen. Whether you've got Xbox or Nintendo, check out Bargain Bin Gamer, a YouTube show hosted by Davey and Mitch, self-proclaimed gamers who specializes in reviewing and showcasing affordable video games. Grab your popcorn as you listen to Cinema Z, a film discussion and review podcast showcasing films you probably missed but should definitely check out, hosted by Mark and Matt. Don your apron for The Food Replicator, where Matthew eats and drinks his way through Star Trek Cocktail and 3 cookbooks. Beam Aboard Galaxy Class, a Star Trek Next Generation podcast covering all of TNG, hosted by Steven. In order to not repeat it, listen to History with the Szilagys, a snippet of historical events from around the world, hosted by Chrissie and Jason. For the newest Trek coverage, check out Infinite Diversity, hosted by Chrissie and Thad. Curl up with a good book and delve into beta canon with Peter, host of the Trek Book Club on Twitter and Blue Sky, and his companion Trek Book Club podcast. Test your Trek knowledge with Treksperts Quiz, a Star Trek quiz show hosted and written by Davey and MC. If you're a member of Starfleet Federation or Planetary Union, go check out Union Federation, covering current Star Trek and the Orville, which we all know is really a Trek show, hosted by Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley. Head over to YouTube and watch The View Screen live on Sundays, your Trek-inspired talk show hosted by Calvin and Amy, with new 8-week seasons in the spring and fall. Spill the tea with Christos while he discusses current Trek news and events and explores the world of fandom via guest interviews, all with an LGBTQIA+ perspective on What's the Tea Bev. And for our patron members, we have the Hive Mind with script readings and roundtable discussion, It's Green, a cornucopia of topics, and Amy's Math Moments, a quick look at math moments in Star Trek. You can keep up with all of these shows by following the network at BQN Podcasts on Instagram and Blue Sky. We know you have a choice of podcasts to choose from, and we thank you for listening to BQN. Assimilate the audio.
Thank you very much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. Thank you to Zach Tripp for wonderful theme music and Mark White for the awesome show art. Please subscribe in your favorite podcast player, and don't forget to rate and review us there as well.
If you'd like to reach out, you can find the network on the socials at BQN Podcasts, or our show specifically at IDIC Podcast. You can also talk about any and all of the BQN podcasts in our Facebook group, the BQN Collective, and in our Discord server. When you next hear from us, we'll be talking about the next episode of Strange New Worlds, The Salat Who Ate Its Tail. Until then, we bid you peace and long life.
We had somebody in the Discord just this week say that they love when they can turn us on for 2 hours to talk about, to hear us talk for 2 hours about a 45-minute episode.
Yeah. I thought that was really nice of them.
Yeah,
That
I know,
is-
right?
I mean, that basically says that like you have all of the like content in the world, right? That like they're just gonna sit and listen. You're basically doing talk radio at that point, which is the
Yeah.
ultimate goal. So
That's yeah.
Yeah, long haul truckers probably love us.